We all love a good furry cartoon, whether it's something like DuckTales, Tailspin, or the Raccoons. But oh boy, not all of them are great. In fact, some of them really suck. Previously, we have taken a look at some furry movies that were critical flops, lost millions, and found themselves relegated to gas station bargain bins. Today, I thought, though, we'd give the movie world a break and instead take a look at some of the worst furry cartoons. Hello, I'm Shadow Raccoon.
And I'm Theodore Rabbit.
And here are some furry cartoons that really suck. Now, before I start this episode, I just want to quickly say that, like with movies, opinions can be subjective. We've based our list on critical reviews, searching Google results and that sort of thing, to try and make this as fair as possible. So if one of your shows, your favourite shows is in this list, please don't take any offence here. We're not trying to offend anyone. Whether it's poor animation, bad voice acting, or a quick cash grab though, there are many reasons that cartoon series may suck. Some tick all those boxes. Annoying Orange, I'm looking at you. Sometimes though, these shows survive multiple seasons. They get a weird following, or end up being cancelled mid-season entirely. The original prince doused in gasoline, set on fire, and the ashes burned in the desert somewhere in Arizona. And then they end up on lists like this. So, without further delay, let's take a look at some of these cartoons that suck. For myself, a child of the 90s, Nickelodeon TV shows were a staple of my childhood. From Kenan and Kel, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, to its acclaimed cartoons such as Angry Beavers and Rocko's Modern Life. But wow, how Nickelodeon has changed. And no, this is not me doing a, hey you young kids, get off my damn lawn thing. Breadwinners is a 2012 animated cartoon that started life on YouTube about a pair of anthropomorphic ducks named Sway Sway and Boodoos, I can never say that right, who deliver bread for a living. Originally planned as just a one-off short, it was picked up and turned into a TV show by Nickelodeon, initially for a 20-episode season, first airing in 2014, and then receiving an additional season the year after, and even a DVD release of the first season. Episodes included storylines such as one that's all about bad breath, another where they teach a pet frog to play fetch, and your usual cliche trope episode that every series has to have, featuring a feud between the two main characters. All accompanied, of course, with lots of repetitive, gross-out humour, surprisingly violent scenes, and loud in-your-face antics, and not the good sort. One episode, titled Love Loaf, was quite controversial in particular, featuring an implied rape joke. Where the character Swayze tricks his crush Jenny Quackles into eating a loaf of bread that's been filled with a love drug. That is very awkward. Making the show even worse, and in many other opinions as well, is the obnoxious background music, which is almost constant, making it harder to focus on what's being said and keep track of the plots. It's just detrimental to the show. In addition, the show is widely regarded by many critics to be just hyperactive, headache-inducing, and the animation is just considered mediocre as well, and it's just not great to look at. It visually does not, impress me. Described in one outlet as too adult for young kids and too young for adult kids, it's easy to argue that this show didn't quite know its audience, and certainly isn't going to be one that's going to be high on many furries' favourite anthro cartoon list. Also hurting the show, in my opinion, is its theme song. Though this is subjective, some people praise the theme song, so it's one of the few good things about it, which to me sounds a bit kind of an in-your-face Red Bull-induced rap, featuring the main characters. It's unmistakably Nickelodeon though, so I guess I'm going to have to give them a few points for that. With a critical score on IMDb of just 2.4 out of 10, and a user rating of 2.8 on TV.com, it's clear that the criticism was somewhat unanimous from the internet of this TV show. And some of the user reviews are quite funny, and include gems such as this.
What annoying little ducks! Horrible! Do not watch this show ever!
It will give you germs.
This show is a fucking biohazard. Do not under any circumstances watch this show. Nickelodeon needs to die.
Fortunately, for reasons I cannot find, the TV series was not picked up for a third season, and will instead now live on forever in the Nickelodeon archives, hopefully never coming out of them. Of course, as with many things, a cult following does exist for this show, and its cancellation wasn't quite universally celebrated. In fact, enough fans, 50, created a change.org petition to try and bring it back. Good luck on that one. Generally unpleasant in its entirety, I think it's just easy to see why furries wouldn't quite take to breadwinners. And, if you think about some of the other duck-themed animations that the fandom loves, DuckTales anyone? It's clear to see why this one really sucks.
The unimaginably named Fish Police is a show produced by our good old friends of the One Shot Wonder, Hanna-Barbera. This fin-packed show was once a comic book of the same name, and that in itself wasn't all that well received, so who knows why they turned this into this bonfire of a show. But being never one to miss out on a fad, Hanna-Barbera tried to turn this comic book inspired show into the next Simpsons by going for a more adult audience, even going as far as to compete in the same time slot with it on TV channel CBS in 1992. Now, Simpsons Mania in 1992, for those who don't remember, was pretty damn huge. And to try and take it on at this point was pretty ballsy for any show at this point, and would have had to be something pretty damn special to have drawn in a crowd away from it. And, spoiler alert, that didn't happen. Given only 6 episodes to swim for itself, which even by nowadays isn't long enough to get a following, unless you're a British TV show, of course. This, maybe, was for the best, however. The plot was pretty standard affair, following a fish inspector called Gil, who looks like Dick Tracy, even has the same coloured outfit and style of hat, who solves crimes. It's made by Hanna-Barbera, so of course he solves crimes. All the while trying to capture his nemesis, the Al Pacino-style crime boss, cringingly named Boschetti Calamari. Oh dear. The show was also hated by viewers at the time due to its bad writing and overuse of fish puns. That was fished out of the time slot and killed by CBS only after a shocking 3 episodes, with the remaining shows tied to a concrete block and thrown to the depths from which it came. One of the few things this show had going for it, however, was the voice cast, with some hard-hitting names like voice god Frank Welker and personal favourite Rocky Horror cast member Tim Curry, putting their all and trying to make this sinking ship float. It even guest starred the late Phil Hartman in one episode as Inspector Seabass, whose performance is definitely at least a C+. Even though every critic and viewer at the time hated the show, bad ratings, and the comic creator himself saying in 2010's interview that the less said about the animated series the better. Beyond all common sense, this show, however, gained a very small cult following, with some even complaining for the last 3 episodes to be released. Why, I don't know. It might not come as a surprise for you to hear, though, that the show holds a massive 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. Despite trying to offer something entertaining and anthropomorphic, Fish Police really isn't a classic 90s cartoon that deserves much love from this furry fandom, believe me.
In the early 90s, someone at Hanna-Barbera really had a thing for making teenage versions or younger versions of their popular TV characters. For example, instead of just Scooby-Doo and the gang, we had the gang as teenagers in the series A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. And instead of just Tom and Jerry, we had Tom and Jerry Kids. Ugh. And proving that no character was safe, we had Yo-Yogi. No, not that park and district in Tokyo. Yo-Yogi, a rad and totally 90s take on a younger teenage Yogi Bear. Yay bears? I mean, look at that logo. Feel the early 90s. Set in Jellystone Town, where the Jellystone Park has been converted into a shopping mall, because that's very 90s, the mall. Yogi Bear and his friends, plus other non-related Hanna-Barbera characters, like Secret Squirrel, hang out together, solving the crimes of the mall under the help of Officer Smith. Yeah, this really is like a crappier Paul Blart Mall Cop. Aging badly, this series was produced in conjunction with Kellogg's cereal product promotion, where you can get a pair of 3D glasses inside cereal boxes to use with each episode. Generally, these 3D scenes were like chase scenes, so it doesn't matter if you don't have the glasses, but hey, there is nothing like a little bit of extra consumerism in every episode here. Production-wise, the animation is, well, how do we put it? Very much Hanna-Barbera, which means you know what to expect with the repeating backgrounds and clean characters and that sort of thing. I can't trash them for that, I guess. The character designs are, however, best summed up probably by a quote from the original creator of Yogi Bear, though, who went on record saying they really screwed up redesigning Yogi here. Music-wise, as you'd expect, the intro theme is very 90s. It overuses the word yo, using it 33 times in its 1 minute long opening. Yes, I actually counted that. That's just over 1 yo every 2 seconds. So 90s. Something to note is that, at least in the sources I consulted when making this episode, is the show heavily contributed towards the cancellation and end once and for all of Saturday morning kids cartoons on NBC. Whilst it does seem a bit dramatic to say that this one show probably did that all alone, it's easy to see how the show would have helped speed up that process. Fortunately for all though, this spin-off only ran for 1 season, and was to be the last TV show featuring Yogi Bear for nearly 30 years, until HBO announced a new show named Jellystone coming to their streaming platform in 2020. So, if you exclude the also not very good films, it was pretty much a franchise killer too. Critically, this show does seem to have a small fan following from people, I suspect likely as a result of 90s nostalgia. However, when I compare the show to other cartoons from the 90s, it just doesn't hold up for me. And I think its rating of 5 on IMDb and TV.com is more than generous for this show. With so many other better bear cartoons for us furries to enjoy as well, especially ones from the 90s and the 80s, this show's flaws shot way too easy. And when I think about the fact that it helped kill off Saturday morning cartoons, it really does make this a furry cartoon that really sucks.
Oh boy, this is the second Nickelodeon show on this list, and while I must say seems frequently to be mentioned by people trying to justify that Breadwinners isn't the worst cartoon ever made by Nickelodeon. Anyway, I digress. Sanjay and Craig was a series about a 12-year-old Indian American boy named Sanjay Patel and his best friend, the anthropomorphic snake named Craig Slivers. Oh dear. The show started life as a simple comic before being pitched by its creator unsuccessfully twice to Nickelodeon. I mean, they have standards. Wow. Who knew, eh? Receiving advice from the creator of Bob's Burgers on how to pitch, they finally got lucky and on their 3rd try, and Nickelodeon finally gave up. Wanted the creators to just leave them alone, or release the creative genius of the commissioned the show. Delete as necessary there. Episodes would, as you'd expect, usually revolve around the pair getting into some sort of situation around town, all without the other characters in the show finding out that the snake could talk. Not exactly groundbreaking stuff there, and generally inoffensive, I suppose. What was more offensive, however, was the show's over-reliance on toilet humor, particularly in Season 1, and its rather uninteresting side characters with somewhat cringy names. I mean, one's called Mr. Nude Man. Bravo, writers. Bravo. Oh dear. All of this is wrapped up with a somewhat meh animation style that seemed to feel very tired, got very tired very quickly into the episode, and makes the show somewhat even more forgettable. Weirdly, unlike the other shows on this list, it was a rather strange mix of celebrity guest stars, including the late TV personality chef Anthony Bourdain and actor-comedian Paul Rubens, and even Snoop Dogg. Running for a total of 3 seasons, it is argued by many that the show had started to improve, and less rely on toilet gags and bad puns in later episodes, actually becoming, well, something better. However, with the show being cancelled by Nickelodeon after season 3 in 2016, Sanjay and Craig was over, and arguably many people were glad to see the back of it. With a small fan base, disappointed to see that this happened at a point where they felt the show was actually starting to become something better. But critically, this show was not very well loved, with a 4.4 score on TV.com and 4.2 on IMDb, with reviewers leaving mostly harsh criticisms about the show, often focusing on the rather crude sense of humor. Well, like this one.
Ooh, like what the fuck? Really? Why? This show is the worst show I've ever seen. So the whole point is to make people grossed out and gag. The first episode I watched, or tried to watch, I almost threw up. Please stop these pointless, unamusing, nasty shows. It has a very poor art style and animation. I don't know anyone who likes it one bit. It's just plain bad.
Despite offering us furries something a bit different, an anthropomorphic snake, Sanjay and Craig's over-reliance on trash humor and its simplistic designs really fails to deliver something lasting and anything that would really make waves for us in this furry fandom.
So there we go. Those are some furry cartoons that really sucked. What cartoons do you not like? What ones do you think sucked and should have been on this list? What would you like to see included in a future episode? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, or consider supporting us on Patreon. There's a link in the description below. I'm Shadow Raccoon,
And I'm Theodore Rabbit.
and we'll see you next time. Bye everyone!